Game 2 in Minnesota. Steph Curry, exactly the way we don't want to see him. In street clothes, Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves looking to get back in this series, and they did it immediately, Alan, a 13-0 run to start.
They punched first and they kept punching. Julius Randle was phenomenal in this game with a double-double. Anthony Edwards also answered the call. He did a lot in that first quarter.
Takes it in. Timberwolves have a 14-point lead after one. Second quarter, here's a controversial moment. Brian Windhorst, tell me what we see here. Naz Reid reaching, Draymond Green flailing.
Draymond fouled him, and then after the foul, he hit him. And this would have been a flagrant, but the whistle had blown, so it counts as a dead ball technical. His 5th technical foul in 9 games, 7 is a suspension, and you include the 2 flagrants he's got. He could have gotten ejected right here, by the way. They got lucky that the official let him off.
They were able to calm him down. Steph came out and all that and whatever. The game continues. Then here's another potentially terrible moment. Watch the ankle, Alan, of Anthony Edwards. You'll see it get stepped on. This looked real bad.
It did. It looked bad because, number one, he grabbed it. Number 2, he stayed down and he limped off the court, limped to the back. That's a bad sign right there, but he would return.
Yes, Timberwolves had a 17-point halftime lead. Anthony Edwards would play in the second half. He generally looked good. Meanwhile, this was all Timberwolves. This great transition defense here. Uncontested, Timberwolves a 15-point lead. Now it's a 16-point lead. Late in the third quarter, Randall's going to throw it up. Edwards going to throw it down. Randall had 24 and 11. Edwards had 20 and 9. Timberwolves go on to win it. And I guess the most important thing we can tell you is that it looks like Anthony Edwards was okay coming out of that. We'll see how he wakes up this morning. Steph Curry, not as much. So it pains me to ask the question this way, Michael Wilbon, but if Steph Curry is not able to make it back into this series, are the Warriors done?
Yeah. I mean, Minnesota's too good. Minnesota's the team in the West, I thought, coming into the playoffs that could beat Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. They had a good run last year. We saw what Minnesota's capable of. And we spent all year, I did anyway, waiting for them to get back to that space. I think they were 21-4, so maybe last night there was something like now like 22-5 in their last 27 games, including this series. They're too good. And what team today could lose one of the great players in history? A team that your group is built around. What team could survive the postseason like that in today's NBA? The answer is nobody.
Right. And so we don't really know with Steph. Let's play it. Let's play the sound as we talk about it here, because I've been saying for the last couple of days, the basketball gods just cannot do this to us. You don't want to see Steph in this year where they make this aggressive move to get Jimmy Butler. They look like they've got a real chance. Now he's got the hamstring for the first time in his career. Here he was yesterday.
When you're 27, you feel like, you're obviously in your prime. Like every opportunity I have now, you don't want it to be wasted on an injury. Like I'm thankful it wasn't worse, and I'm very aware of and appreciative that I have even a chance to come back. Injuries are always hard emotionally, just because none of this is guaranteed to be back, in this environment or in the playoff experience and have an opportunity like that.
What do you think, Wendy?
Yeah, so he doesn't know how his hamstring is going to feel 9 days from now, and that's what everybody's targeting, Game 6. The Warriors got to figure out how to get one win in the next 3 games to get them to Game 6, and maybe he might not be able to play in Game 6. Nobody knows. I would say their offense has just gone to pot when he's not out there. They score 116 points in the playoffs per 100 possessions when he's on the court. When he's off the court, it plummets. Look at that, 93 basically. That is unrecoverable. They got to find offense from somewhere. If you're looking for a ray of light, Jonathan Kuminga played a huge second half. They actually made a run with him on the court. He made 8 straight shots at one point. They need the offense from somewhere. Maybe Kuminga's getting hot.
Kuminga was 8 of 11 last night, 18 points in 26 minutes off the bench. You sort of forecast this. You said, not Buddy Hield all of a sudden has to go from being the supporting actor
to a main character
to all of a sudden the main character,
yeah.
and you could see the difference.
And you saw at the start of the game too that they basically took the Steph Curry defense and put it on Buddy Hield and said, well, we're not going to let you get hot, because he can get hot. And he was, to start the game, not good. He missed a bunch of shots. He had a bad turnover, and that led to the 13-0. He was, overwhelmed by the fact that now you're the lead character and they're coming at you. It was a weird Steve Kerr game too, because he was trying to figure out, how am I going to create offense? Jimmy Butler, maybe have him play sort of a point forward. Played a ton of players, like you mentioned, Wendy, earlier. 14 players played in this game in the first half, which you never see in the playoffs. as if they were searching for something.
I don't
There
think
was a lot
I've seen
they
it in
gotta
the
figure out.
preseason.
In the
be honest.
preseason, in the
I'll
first
be honest
half,
with
yeah.
I've never. This is the box score from last night's game. There's only one DNP on it, and it's Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of the injury, literally everyone else from the Warriors got into this game at some point or another. And so, look, Michael, we'll have to wait and see what is the Jimmy Butler. As we sit, look, they're not done. Maybe they find a way to win one of these two games at home.
I think they win.
You think they win a game?
Absolutely.
One of the two at home.
Absolutely. Minnesota, as I sat there and pumped them up and think they could beat Oklahoma City in the right circumstances, they could. They still are flawed. Minnesota does stuff with just brain dead moments. We've seen that. We saw it last year, even though they got to the conference final. We saw it against Denver when they were up 2-0 after winning 2 games in Denver. This is what Minnesota does. They do things that confound you. I was on the text back and forth with a Hall of Fame player the other night, and I said, is it just me or does Minnesota, and before I could finish the line, he just texted back, go to sleep? Yeah.
Ant Edwards got called out by his coach after game 1, Chris Finch, and he wasn't talking about scoring. He was talking about being a playmaker. He thought Ant was not actively helping his team. 9 assists. He had 2 assists in game 1, 9 assists last night. Totally reacted to his coach. We all pay attention to it when the coach calls out the player. We should pay attention to it when the player responds to the coach.
But how long does it last? It doesn't last forever. Those things never last forever. Yes, you get a reaction in the moment. Oklahoma City reacted to losing a game they shouldn't have lost, and they trashed Denver. Does that last to Denver? No, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with it. And so I think the Warriors can get one of these next 2.
If they get one, you got to believe, because the history of the sport shows us this with the great players, especially the greatest players, he will find a way to get on the floor.
For game 6.
He will find a way to get on the floor. And even if he's just a magnet, a decoy, it doesn't matter. It does make them better, just his presence.
I will mention again, for those of you who haven't been following it, there's a scheduling quirk in this series because the arena in San Francisco is in use on the Friday night where game 6
Valkyries,
would normally have
WNBA
fallen.
team, Valkyries' first game. It's a huge moment.
Their first ever game. Yeah. So as you see there, look at the numbers. It goes from the 12th to the 14th all the way to the 18th. So that's a week from Sunday. So in theory, Steph would have, that would be a total of 11 days from the time of the injury. So that it's almost 2 weeks. Yeah. So if they can get it to that, if they can find a way to win, again, I'm not sitting here trying to openly root for them, but you don't want to see Steph go out this way. If they can get it to a game 6, maybe he's able to play, and then we'll see what winds up happening. If the T-Wolves are going to win this series, I hope they do it against a full-strength Warriors. In the meantime, we showed you also the incident on the court with Draymond Green involving him and Naz Reid, and he winds up getting the technical there. Adding to his night, while Green was on a stationary bike in the tunnel near the Warriors bench, he got into a back and forth with a fan. That fan was ejected for directing a racial slur at Draymond Green. After the game, Draymond gave a quick statement to reporters.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
I will repeat again, we do not know specifically what the context of his comments are, which is to say, was he referring to the incident on the court, or more likely referring to the incident that takes place on the bike where he's, keeping himself warm or whatever it is, and the fans are always very near to those, and whatever it is that someone said to him, it was enough that someone was ejected.
Keep in mind, it was in the fourth
from
quarter,
the arena,
later in the game.
Much later in the game than the incident which took place in the second. So I don't want to make any assumptions on something this sensitive, but it does seem more as though he was referring to that than what happened on the floor earlier. Michael, you spoke very eloquently about this a little bit earlier this morning. New audience joining us here. What is your reaction to what Draymond said?
Am I surprised? No. Would I be outraged? Sure. This happens. This happens all the time. You look at European soccer games where this is a constant. This is a world problem issue, and so Draymond heard something that cut him deep, and that's the reaction. I don't know what was said. I don't know who said it or what the context of it is. Don't know. We may find out. I'd like to know, even if it's a off the record conversation, and I just like to know. Again, does it surprise me? No. Do a great many people, too many people, have similar stories to tell like that? Yeah. Yes. So if we were talking, and I have the pleasure, really, doing what I do for a living, of talking to Draymond, if not frequently, sometimes for long periods, and you can get into substantive things. And this would be something substantive. Just on the question of, if I was with him right now, we were having breakfast, I would say, dude, what happened? That's it. That's all that's it. And I'm going to hear something probably that I've heard 1,000 times in my life, or that I've had happen to me 12 or more times in my life. It was interesting. I smiled when I heard Draymond saying, I'm not an angry black man. I know exactly what he's talking about, the portrayal of it. I am often that person, have been that. I'm older than Draymond. There are things that happen publicly and privately that make you angry. I quoted the great Arthur Ashe earlier today. I'll do it one more time. Arthur Ashe once said or wrote, being a black man in America is like having a second full-time job. Nobody more eloquent than Arthur Ashe. And I just remember when I heard it thinking, oh my God, this is it. And if you go back, years, decades, generations, there were many more things to be angry about than I've ever had or that Draymond ever has. And I like Draymond's resentment of the characterization. Again, don't know why. I may not find out why. But do I find it a big deal, strangely enough, even though I was sitting talking? No, I don't. This is the world.
In that moment, obviously, it was a big deal to him. He made his comments. Perhaps there'll be further context into what specifically he was referring to. We'll see. Again, I'll repeat whatever it was that was said to him. The fan who said it was ejected.
NBA,